God gave me this body. Are you jealous of it or what? Give me a break. I got the genetics of, not to get into racism or anything, but I'm built like a black man.
Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate.
A lowly farm boy from Minnesota can make it in the world if you're super jacked.
I'm a white boy, and I'm jacked. Deal with it.
If you're the best athlete of all time.
Yeah, he's the guy you want on your front line swinging a sword. And he even got that sword tattooed on his chest.
Big mistake. That's a terrible one. There's so many memes of where it's just a dildo. It's so easy. Even like have it there. Is that like a Zen thing? It's just like meditate on
Well,
a
I found
sword?
the story behind that. He comes up in the NCAA. He becomes a 2-time heavyweight champion. He gets picked out by the WWE for just looking the way he does. He's an amazing athlete, and he looks like the guy that we want. He has an amazing career in the WWE. He becomes the youngest champion.
The young guy look amazing. He put him over. Brock Lesnar had a great 2-year run in the WWE from WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania 20. In the middle is WrestleMania 19, famous for he did a shooting star press, unscripted.
Crazy.
A lot of people don't know, a lot of wrestling matches, there's a lot of improv going on. Like the overall arc is scripted, like who wins and why, that's predetermined. But Brock Lesnar made the decision to go to the top rope, jump, do a forward flying backflip, a shooting star press, landed on his head, almost killed himself. Kurt Angle's on the record being like, I thought he was dead. He's in the ring. They're always talking to each other, wrestlers. You can't really hear them, but Brock, you okay? Brock, you okay? Covers him. 1, 2, kick out, pick him up, F5. Brock Lesnar's the champion.
They're on a crazy traveling schedule.
It's unbelievable.
They're pretty much traveling almost every day. They go out, travel. The life is getting to be a bit too much for Brock. And he had mentioned this to Vince McMahon on several occasions, but Vince just says, I don't know, kind of like, that's how it goes type of thing, right?
Yeah, suck it up.
Yeah, and then one day he eventually says to Vince, I really want to go. He says that Vince is offended about this because, he's the champion. He feels like he's given him quite a bit. They take the belt away, and he signs a non-compete clause with the WWE, which becomes a big problem for Brock. Now he cannot join any other wrestling leagues. It even limits MMA. Like, you're not allowed to compete in MMA with this non-compete clause. After this, he decides to try out for NFL football because he's not able to wrestle and he's not able to fight, and he steps on for the Vikings.
Does not pan out.
Doesn't pan out. At some point, he gets into a motorcycle accident as well. Also, he is thinking, I'm not that good at football. He doesn't have...
It's a really hard game.
It is a really hard game, and you're competing against guys that have been playing since childhood.
He does have the body for it, does have the athleticism for it, but if you don't have the skills, if you don't have that lifelong work ethic and discipline of like really honing your skills, it's too hard.
The NFL training camp, to me, mentally and physically was very hard because I was out of my element totally. Getting hit and not knowing where it was come from and not knowing what the hell was going on.
Harder than being in the Octagon where you don't know where the punches are coming from?
Way harder because, when you're a fish out of the water, like there's a whole nother element to it.
Now he's out of work. That is where the sword comes in.
That's why he got a sword.
The sword at his neck was how he felt at the time. So he was running out of money. He said he was eating through his savings, unable to do anything in this legal battle with the powerful WWE, who really crushes everybody that tries to come with this non-compete clause. So he feels there's a sword at his neck, and he goes and he tattoos a giant sword. He eventually gets out of this non-compete clause. They fight it out in court, and it seems as if they just come to a settlement. The agreement is not fully publicized. I don't know all the terms of the agreement. The WWE just doesn't want to lose this case. They'd rather settle, because if they lose the case, that means everybody else that has signed this non-compete clause with them before now has a case, and they would lose a lot of bargaining power with all their other athletes that they had locked into these contracts from before. He has this thought that I should get into fighting. He starts training at, I can't remember the gym's name.
Pull it up.
Let's see.
It's here.
Gym. Brock started training at Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, founded by Greg Nelson. Very early in his career, Lesnar decided to move away. He founded Death Clutch. That was the one he built. Famously, he doesn't like getting hit.
Yeah. I forget where I've heard these stories, but I've heard stories of like anyone in the UFC, when they have a big fight coming up, they get people to come in to train with them. And Brock, he tried to do this, but people would come in, they don't really know him. They'd be sparring, they would hit him, and you'd get furious, storm out of there. And they have to tell people like, oh no, we don't really hit Brock. And you can kind of see this in his career, right? Like he would either demolish people or start getting hit and fade. And it's very relatable. I also don't like getting hit.
He decides to go to a UFC event with his lawyers and try to find Dana White to just have a powwow with him. You know, in the UFC where they show celebrities and they go, hey, hey. They don't do that for Brock. UFC and WWE are kind of competing.
Yeah.
They're kind of in competition, so they don't really promote each other's athletes.
At the time.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar, now they're the same.
Now they're the same.
After the event, he goes and he finds Dana White, taps him on the shoulder, says he wants to talk to him. Dana says something like, what makes you think you could be a fighter? I wrestled, I got grit, I got tenacity, whatever you say, but I'm sure Dana was just seeing dollar signs. Brock
Just have to find out if he can fight, right? So he takes a fight against some large Korean man.
It was Min Soo Kim.
Min Soo Kim, a guy we've never heard of before or since. And Brock absolutely destroyed this poor man in his MMA debut. And then he's immediately in the UFC against former heavyweight champion Frank Mir.
With a 1-0 record.
With a 1-0 record, straight to a co-main
1-0
event
record,
against
yeah.
a former champion. Love it.
The back and forth talk between Brock and Frank Mir is one of the most entertaining things about this whole dive into Brock Lesnar, because for some reason he just doesn't like Frank Mir.
He's a glorified karate kid that won a few fights, and here he is with a golden horseshoe up his ass.
Which could be some of the WWE training. It's just whoever is across from you, you have to pick a side, you have to draw a line.
Yes. Also because Frank Mir beat him in a fight that he was winning, so that could feed into it, like, you know, I had it and you took something from me. As he's bashing Frank's head with these hammer fists, Frank kind of turns away, and referee Steve Mazzagatti, who is not known for protecting fighters, he stops the fight, says 1 strike to the back of the head, takes away 1 point from Brock Lesnar, and then stands them back up.
Which is a very strange move. Like, I imagine he did that just because Brock is so new. Usually there's a warning, or like, I can't remember another time where a ref was so quick to stand guys up and take a point.
Yeah, it was very fast. And they stand them up. Frank Mir, after that exchange, he says he was confused and he didn't like the stand-up because he was trying to put Brock into an armbar at the time. It didn't look like it was going well for Frank Mir at the time. Brock also thought, I don't know what he thought. I don't remember what he thought about this.
He thought he was winning because he doesn't know jiu-jitsu. Frank Mir, very steeped in jiu-jitsu, some of the best jiu-jitsu we've seen in the UFC from anyone. Definitely one of the best from heavyweight. He got his black belt from snapping Tim Sylvia's arm to win the title. Great move.
Great arm breaker, Frank Mir. Later goes on to break Nogueira's arm in fantastic fashion, like
unbelievable,
because he wouldn't tap.
Yeah.
So tap, guys.
And so in this match, Frank Mir, he's trying to set up some jiu-jitsu from his back, gets stood up, gets taken down again, and Brock Lesnar, because he doesn't know jiu-jitsu, he's standing square above a guy in guard for way too long. Anybody who does jiu-jitsu knows you got to stagger your stance, you circle to the side, or you dive in for a pass. And so Frank Mir just kind of rocked side to side and throws up a pretty simple knee bar that Brock Lesnar probably had never felt before. I don't think he's done much jiu-jitsu with people. He taps many times. The ref was definitely slow. Frank Mir, I think he's right to hold it until the ref puts his hands on him or says something.
Yeah.
But Brock is tapping and tapping and tapping and tapping.
The ref never puts his hands on Frank Mir, so that's probably why. I think he starts to wave it off early, but Frank is turned the other way. He's not looking at the ref. The ref didn't put hands on them. Brock loses his first match, and he goes on to say in his book how much he hated the fact that Frank beat him, and that he thought that Frank wasn't in his league, even though he was 1-0. He thinks that Frank didn't win that fight. He lost that fight by handing his leg over to Frank.
Whatever helps you sleep, man.
It could be
just funny. Brock Lesnar has a book. Like, he definitely didn't write that book. I don't know who wrote that book, but it's not. Brock Lesnar's not giant. Brock Lesnar sitting over a desk, scribbling, or typing.
I mean, it sounds like him. It's like
Sure, it's in his voice.
So I don't think it was filtered through people that said, "Hey, let's try to make you sound really good in this book."
Oh no, I don't think that either.
His next match is against Heath Herring. Now, Heath Herring is an experienced martial artist. I think he has something like 42 fights going into this. He fights on the K1 circuit. One of his famous fights is in the face-off to the fight. You've seen this fight, right?
So good. I've seen it 1,000 times. It's like one of the things that got me into MMA. Because when they have a fight, they always bring the fighters together. And then, do you know the rules? Do you know the rules? You don't want to touch gloves. And Heath Herring's opponent kisses him on the mouth. And Heath Herring looks at him and knocks him out real quick.
Was that real?
It looks real.
It looks real, but I'm like, this could be fake. There's a lot of like crossover between performance and MMA in the Japanese scene. So
if it's not real, it's genius.
No contest. I thought it was DQ. So
like the explanation, like how kissed Herring during the pre-match stare down, after which Herring knocked him out with a punch, rendering him unable to continue. Originally ruled a DQ and overturned to a no contest.
Really? Why do you get the no contest? I guess because you're not allowed to kiss people.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
There's no fight. You're not allowed to kiss.
Yoshihiro Nakao. Yeah. A Japanese semi-retired professional mixed martial artist. Okay, so I guess he's still fighting. Guys, you're not allowed to kiss your opponents on face-off, okay?
I didn't know that.
Something to now you know.
So anyway, Brock Lesnar's fighting Heath Herring.
Heath Herring kind of a little bit dismissive of Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar has a 0-1 record in the UFC. He's 1-1 in MMA, and Heath is very experienced. He thinks Brock is just some wrestler, some big goon, and he's not ready for what's about to come.
And so Brock Lesnar comes forward, one of the best highlights ever. Huge straight right hand, and Heath Herring goes rolling backwards. I've never seen this before or since. And Brock, one of the fastest big men ever, sprints at him, maybe headbutts him, takes him down, controls him, and beats him up for 3 full rounds. Pretty amazing that Heath Herring lasted the whole fight. Because in my mind, that fight ended quick, but really it's a big punch, a roll, and then domination by Brock Lesnar.
But props to Heath Herring, because
survived.
He broke his orbital on that one punch.
And kept fighting.
Yeah, he broke his orbital on that one punch. He kept fighting. This exchange of just the hit and him going flying, this is like, it looked like looked like something out of a video game.
Yeah.
It looks like what people imagine MMA would be like. So a person that doesn't watch MMA would probably imagine MMA looks like this.
Yeah, it's like WWE stuff. Are you gonna hit me? And whoa!
So very exciting ending for that fight, and great for the UFC, great for Brock. Now he has a win in the UFC. This legitimizes him. He's a real fighter. Now, with one win in the UFC, he's getting a title shot.
Against absolute legend, Randy Couture.
I think Randy Couture is like 45 years old at the time.
Set a record for oldest champion, first 2-division champion, I believe. He was light heavyweight champion before, retired, came back, heavyweight champion. Great story. Everybody loves Randy Couture, except maybe the UFC at the time.
Yeah, except maybe Dana White. Supposedly there was a lot of contract negotiation problems. Randy Couture was trying to set up a fight with Fedor in Affliction, and he thought he could just sit out his contract and the contract would run out. But that's not really how UFC contracts go. You have to fight out your contract. They're kind of going back and forth with Randy, and then they say, okay, we're gonna give you a fight. And they have Randy sign a new 3-fight deal. He's 45, which means he's never gonna fight for anybody else.
Too bad, because him against Fedor would be a very interesting fight.
Probably would have been one of the biggest, if not the biggest fight ever.
He was Pride champion before,
Yeah.
and then when Pride folded, he went to Affliction and fought a couple other places, ended up in Bellator.
Yeah, there was a time when stars existed outside of the UFC, before the UFC bought everybody and kind of brought everybody into the UFC. Would have been a great fight for Randy, but he gets pulled back into this contract with the UFC, and at 45, they say, take this guy.
And I think like we would consider Randy Couture one of the best ever if we didn't see Brock Lesnar absolutely smashing him, just bouncing his head off the floor, looking 3 weight classes bigger.
Yes.
It's heavyweight. Brock Lesnar weighs in at the limit of 265, probably cuts a little bit of weight.
He's almost a 300-pound man.
And Randy Couture is not that big.
No, he's not
Maybe
big.
230,
Yeah.
225.
Randy should, in today's MMA, he would never be competing in heavyweight. He would probably be like maybe a middleweight, maybe a light heavyweight. Leading into the fight, a lot of people still, they think Randy Couture, who is at the time the greatest of all time, he's gonna win, right? But
It's not a close fight. It was not competitive. Brock Lesnar took him down, smashed him. I just remember him bouncing his head off the ground. That's such a rare thing to see, like just big brother bullying a guy. Absolute legend, Randy Couture, just getting his head smashed against the ground. Brock Lesnar, champion of the world.
I think luckily for all these guys facing Brock, he's not like a knockout artist. Like imagine if he really had hands and he could really put some damage on people. So
Yeah, no, what he was good at was blast double legs and short hammer fit.
Brock Lesnar is here. He's the champion, but he really wants this fight with Frank Mir still. He can't get over that. He eventually gets it. He gets back at UFC 100. Brock Lesnar gets his, what do you call it?
His rematch.
Yes.
And it's the same story, same as against Randy Couture. He just double legs, takes him down, and bounces his head off the canvas. Dominant performance.
Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I told him that a year ago. I pulled that sumbitch out and I beat him over the head with it. Woo! I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing. I'm gonna sit down with my friends and family, and hell, I might even get on top of my wife tonight. See y'all later.
After that, things start to fall apart. When did he start to get sick? So Shane Carwin.
Sick was before Shane Carwin, and so he's kind of going through it, and maybe not a lot of people knew that he was sick. And then it becomes a real issue. He's having trouble training.
Yeah, he starts to get some intestinal issues.
Diverticulitis.
Diverticulitis.
Terrible name for a disease. It's terrifying.
Something to do with the large intestines. During this time, he goes to Canada. He gets really sick. He ends up in the hospital. He gets fever and everything. He does what a lot of dudes will try to do. He tries to sleep it off. Wakes up, says, no, I'm really sick. Gets to the hospital. Can't remember what province they're in.
Maybe Manitoba?
Maybe. He's supposed to get, I think it's a CT scan or an MRI scan. Their machine is broken. And they say, we're going to get it fixed tomorrow. It doesn't get fixed. They keep turning it over. Yeah, it is a nightmare. They finally decide to leave that hospital, go somewhere else. He gets it checked out. That's when they figure out it is diverticulitis and they treat it. Shane Carwin is wreaking havoc in the UFC. He's a physical specimen.
Yeah.
He's a knockout artist, big hands, probably the guy that's most similar in size and shape to Brock Lesnar.
There's a storyline that Brock Lesnar went into this sick, and this is something that really plagues the rest of his career.
Arguably, Shane Carwin wins the first round. Brock comes back in the second round, winning by arm triangle. So from a guy that got jiu-jitsu'd in his first UFC fight, and then he out-jujitsus somebody to win. Pretty amazing. But that was the highlight of Brock's MMA career. Now he has a fight with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, Cain Velasquez.
Absolutely, one of the best ever. And we didn't really know how good Cain Velasquez was until this fight. It's Brock Lesnar, he'd been destroying people, he was so scary, and much bigger. Cain Velasquez is not such a big guy.
He's not a big heavyweight.
He's
no.
about 230, 240, something like that. And Brock Lesnar, like we say, cutting to 265, probably closer to 280, 285, 290, maybe 300, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Cain Velasquez really just beat the brakes off of him. It was not that close.
And it's a TKO, first round. He finishes him in the first round.
Unbelievable.
I just wasn't able to overcome Cain's, I really don't know what happened. He beat my ass, that's what happened.
Now, after this, he gets sick again, finally decides to get surgery. He gets, I think they say something like 12 inches of his intestines removed. I don't even know how many inches you have to give away, but
I think quite a lot.
Lesnar, 2011, had surgery to remove 12 inches of colon and repair it. He also had surgery to close up perforations in his intestine that were leaking fecal matter.
Hey!
So the problem with diverticulitis is that your poop is seeping back into your body,
Ooh.
and you're basically getting poisoned by your own poop. It's rough. So he gets it fixed up, and he decides to come back. Who did they put in front of him for the belt? Alistair Overeem.
Alistair Overeem at the time was fighting all over the world. He was fighting in Pride, he was fighting in K1 Grand Prix champion. He also won 80cc trials.
Yeah.
He did he was Strikeforce champion, and he had grown in size. When he was fighting in Pride, he fought against Shogun at 205. Looked like a lean, athletic man, and he put on 60 pounds of steroid muscle.
He just looked like bubbles.
He looked like the inverse of Brock Lesnar. They showed up. That's the craziest face-off ever. Huge men with six packs.
Yeah, he looked ridiculous, and Brock also looked ridiculous.
Of course.
So
yeah.
we cannot blame Alistair for taking any performance enhancers without looking at Brock, because Brock was probably doing it, looking at his pictures, I would guess from college. Yeah, he was. Yeah. He's been he's been
stably
beyond jacked from a long time ago.
Overeem's just funny because we can see him increasing.
You can see the progress.
Yeah,
and you can
every
see
single fight he's bigger.
And you can see what he looks like now. Now that he's become a vegan.
Oh yeah.
He looks.
Is he skinny?
He's really skinny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's really skinny now.
Yeah.
So he's not eating horse meat anymore, which was his reason why he got so jacked. He said it was horse meat. So
such a funny thing. It's like a wink thing to say. No, it's horse meat.
Horse meat. Yeah. Horse meat sounds delicious. What happened in the Overeem fight?
Overeem just picked him apart, destroyed him. I remember he hits Brock with a kick to the intestine, I believe. I just think all Brock's organs are just all messed up. Hit him, all that poop went back into his system, and he's just crumbling. This really plays into the idea that Brock Lesnar doesn't like to take a shot, and Alistair Overeem, one of the best ever to throw shots, and so Brock just crumbles. I believe first round, but
yeah, it was first round. Ooh. Just a bam.
Straight to the dildo tattoo.
Yes. You knew that Alistair this is the rightful king.
Yeah.
Brock, after this, he takes some time off. Things are not going well for him, and he's pretty much done. He retires from MMA. He actually goes back to the WWE. This time, he kind of goes on his own terms. He goes there part-time as a part-time worker. He has MMA as part of his character now. He's an MMA fighter. He wears the gloves.
He wears shorts.
Yes, yeah, rather than the trunks. Goes back there for several years. UFC 200 comes around. Whenever they get to the 100 number, they try to make it something big, something special. A lot of fights fall through.
Mostly because of John Jones. Yeah.
What happened with John Jones with this one?
Maybe it's the picograms.
That was the picograms.
Maybe.
Let me see.
Like where he tested positive for like the smallest amount of banned substance. And he's like, no, I just take dick pills.
He's also threatened a tester, a drug tester that came to his house. There's rumor that when USADA came to his gym, he hid under the ring for several hours, waiting till the lights went off. So John Jones was pulled from 200, and John Jones will reportedly not be allowed to fight against Daniel Cormier at UFC 200 on Saturday, as he was flagged for an anti-doping violation.
And there's a good video of Dana White telling this to Cormier, and Cormier just starts crying, and he's like, what if I sign something? I'll say it's okay, I'll say I don't mind. And he's like, nah, man, you're done. They pull in Anderson Silva to fight Cormier. Kind of a fun fight, but they're not really taking it too seriously. Cormier doesn't want to smash Anderson Silva, the legend.
Yeah.
And so it really just turns into kind of a bummer of an event. They pull in Brock Lesnar on all the steroids. He has a fight against Mark Hunt. He's a good fighter, but he was a bit over the hill. He was older at the time, very outmatched. Not a great fight. Pops for steroids, obviously. And Mark Hunt has a good lawsuit against the UFC for that, knowingly putting him in. They didn't drug test Lesnar ahead of time because he can't pass one. They test him afterwards and go, oh my God, he was on something. And Mark Hunt's like, yeah, you set me up.
Yeah, they kind of conveniently like, oh, we didn't get the results until after. Oh man, where are those test results? I know I put them somewhere. All right, I guess
Fight
you guys...
starting. Yeah, not a great event, not a great look for the UFC.
And it wasn't an amazing fight either. It was a decision victory by Lesnar. He took him down. And no fighter was really in danger throughout that fight.
A great picture, though. I can pull it up. It's right here. Lesnar's taking Mark Hunt down, and Mark Hunt just in midair, like, just like totally calm. Like, what can I do about
Just
this?
not
Like,
interested. Yeah.
and that's how we all kind of felt watching it.
The UFC seems like a pretty protected organization when it comes to this stuff. And if you're one guy trying to sue a billion-dollar company that has full-time lawyers, it's not going to be easy. A lot of angry tweets, a lot of angry messages, and a lot of anger coming from Mark Hunt over this.
Well, let this fucking white piece of shit fucking sticking needles in his ass and say, oh, let him cheat all the way to the fucking bank. Let's give him fucking millions of dollars and don't worry about this motherfucker. You know, fuck that and fuck your shit company.
And obviously, Brock, I know you've dealt with, with questions about performance-enhancing drugs your entire career. That's nothing new. You've had to answer those questions. But I'm kind of curious, your reaction to some of the stuff that Mark has said, even if you've seen it, where he said that, he believes you've been juicing your whole life, and he had questions about USADA testing you. I mean, what is your reaction? Is that just kind of more of what you've always heard?
I've been dealing with that my entire life. I'm a white boy, and I'm jacked. Deal with it.
I bet you I've taken over 60 steroid tests. In college, I had 15 random drug tests in 2 years. I've taken drug tests for the NFL, the WWE, the UFC. I must be pretty good at masking steroids. God gave me this body. Are you jealous of it or what? Give me a break. I got the genetics of, not to get into racism or anything, but I'm built like a black man. Would you say so? It's all genetics. I wouldn't say we're all created equal. That's just to make the other guys feel good who don't have what you got.
That was the end of Brock Lesnar's MMA career. This was before the Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor era.
That's how you say it. Yeah.
Era.
So overall, a very positive experience, very fun time to be a fan, and kind of a disappointing ending. Seeing him get smashed by Cain Velasquez, props up Cain Velasquez. Seeing him getting smashed by Alistair Overeem, props up Alistair Overeem. But seeing him decision Mark Hunt was like, nobody won watching that. The storyline was not good. Steroids is,
The whole hiding of the
the way it was handled wasn't cool.
But he
really just kind of soiled his image. Yeah, he would be thought of much higher if that fight never happened.
He helped grow the sport as well.
For sure.
Something like a third of pay-per-view watchers for his first fight were not regular UFC pay-per-view watchers. So you had a lot of WWE fans that would come over to watch their guy in the UFC and possibly stay. So It was a great move.
And on a side note, they tried this again with CM Punk, and that was not a great move. He got absolutely destroyed in the UFC.
Yes, CM Punk. CM Punk was the next experiment that didn't work out quite the same.
No. And a very funny move though. CM Punk got destroyed by Mickey Gall, and then gave him a pep talk afterwards. Anyway, that's a side note.
You all Jewish haters built like a black man, sewer jack white boy on a black man's frame. You're all jealous haters